Objective. After listening to this module, you'll be able to describe the importance of making a conscious effort to effectively deal with your stress. Coping techniques. Listen for the moral of the story. I walk down the road. There is a hole in the road. I do not see the hole. I fall in the hole. It is very deep. At the bottom where I lay broken, it is dark and cold. I can't get out. I walk down the road. There is a hole in the road. I see the hole as I'm walking down the road. I fall in. I can't get out. I walk down the road. There is a hole in the road. I see the hole as I'm walking down the road. I fall in the hole. I want to get out. I walk down the road. There is a hole in the road. I see the hole as I'm walking down the road. I dread falling down the hole. I fall down the hole. I look up and decide to get out. I walk down the road. There is a hole in the road. I see the hole as I walk down the road. I think, oh no, I'm not falling for that again. I fall down the hole. I start climbing out. I walk down the road. There is a hole in the road. I see the hole as I walk down the road. I try not to fall, but I fall in the hole again. I get out. I walk down the road. There is a hole in the road. I see the hole as I walk down the road. My foot slips and I fall in the hole again, but I do not hit the bottom. I cling to the side and get out. I walk down the road. There is a hole in the road. I step over the hole. I walk down a different road. Einstein said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. I mentioned in a previous lecture about all of us having bumps in the road of life, and some of those bumps being self-induced bumps. Is there a different street you can walk down to avoid that hole? Ask yourself, are some of your self-induced bumps the result of doing something over and over again? What self-induced stressors do you have that you could possibly eliminate? That the birds fly overhead, this you cannot prevent. That they build a nest in your hair, this you can prevent. You can't help that there's always going to be birds flying above your head or potential stressors in your day-to-day life. You don't have control over that, but you can do something to deal with those stressors. How do you handle stress? I hope not this way. Here we have an anti-stress kit. The instructions say 1. Place on firm surface. 2. Follow instructions in circle. 3. Repeat until you are unstressed or become unconscious. Some handle stress by ignoring it. Some dwell on it. Some deny it exists. Some run away from it. Some seem to enjoy or thrive on it. Some overreact to it. Some handle certain stressors very well, but other types of stressors not so well. You should now have a strong understanding of stress. Now, let's talk about specific things you can do to either eliminate it or manage it. But before we talk about specific coping techniques, let's address a couple of things about coping with stress in general. First, it's essential to understand the importance of not ignoring stress. It's critical that you make a conscious effort to do something about your stress. Would you agree that life is largely about learning and growing and developing and progressing? There are those who go their entire lives without ever learning how to effectively cope with stress. In order to learn, grow, develop, and progress in terms of how you handle stress, it's absolutely essential that you obviously don't ignore it. Dan Millman, author of No Ordinary Moments, said he received an important lesson about the consequences of ignoring life's warning signs. He says, after hiking up the narrowest trail at Yosemite National Park to the top of Vernal Falls, I met a park ranger who told me about a woman who climbed out over a low railing near the stream just above the falls. She sat down on the shore's edge, removed her hiking boots, and put her feet in the calm, shallow waters. 20 yards downstream, those calm waters poured over the edge hundreds of feet down to a thundering torrent below. Then the ranger was about 100 yards away walking toward her. He broke into a run as the woman stood and started wading around in knee-deep water. Suddenly, he saw her slip and fall to a sitting position. A moment later, pulled by the strong current, she began slipping over slippery rocks towards the precipice. He yelled, but it was too late. He said he'd never forget the look in her eyes. Not panic, just innocent surprise as she disappeared over the falls. He told me he just stood there, joined by a few other people who had seen what happened, stunned by what just happened. It would have been easy to deny anything had happened, but the woman's hiking boots sat alone next to the stream. He pointed and I turned to see a prominent sign that read, "Danger, strong currents." Do not wade or swim. Beneath the calm surface was a powerful undertow sucking everything toward the fall. The poor woman had either missed the sign or ignored it. So what warning signs or stressors in your life do you ignore until it becomes a bigger problem than it needed to be if you paid attention and took care of it earlier? The next concept that's important to understand is the coping techniques about which you'll be learning are not rocket science, and that's okay, they're not supposed to be. Coping techniques are quick and easy techniques that help you effectively cope or deal with a variety of stressors. They're meant to decrease or possibly even eliminate your stressors. Doing things that will decrease or eliminate your stressors is often not very complicated, but the results can be profound. Now let's visit the model of stress and see at which stage coping techniques fit. The primary purpose of coping techniques is to intercept the stress response at the top 3 levels, stressors and thoughts, and because influencing your thoughts influences your emotions, we can include the 3rd level, emotions. The higher you can set up a roadblock or do something about it, the better. In other words, first see if you can decrease or eliminate your stressor and nip it in the bud. I know this isn't rocket science, but if you're always running late in the morning, set your alarm clock 10 minutes earlier. Boom, you just blocked or intercepted the stress response. Just by taking care of the stressor, setting the alarm clock 10 minutes earlier to prevent yourself from being late, you stopped your body from going through unnecessary, stress-induced physiological reactions. So what? You just blocked the stress response and you weren't late? What's the big deal? Well, number one, imagine how many times in your life that you would have unnecessarily gone through the stress response from running late or whatever it is if you didn't start setting the alarm clock 10 minutes earlier. And number two, you now know what stress does to your body and how important it is to block the stress response. By eliminating the stressor, or at least decreasing it whenever you can, you prevent your body from going through all those physiological reactions that we've talked about. If you never do anything about running late and you're frequently stressed because you're always running late, it really adds up over the years in terms of the wear and tear on your body, just from not setting that alarm clock 10 minutes earlier, or whatever easy solution to whatever stressor. So please don't underestimate seemingly insignificant solutions to your stressors. If you look at a recurring stressor over time, anything you can do to decrease or eliminate that stressor will block the stress response from occurring in response to that one particular reoccurring stressor throughout your entire life. Just as there are cumulative negative effects of stress over time, there are cumulative positive effects from not stressing over time. Key points. Because the accumulative effects of stress can be incredibly unhealthy, as you know, it's important not to ignore stress. Make a conscious effort to do something to either decrease or, if possible, eliminate your stressors. The coping techniques about which you'll be learning are not rocket science, and that's it.